The Dallas Cowboys are facing one of their most difficult decisions in years, and it could be the end of an era. DeMarcus Lawrence, the four-time Pro Bowl defensive end who has been a mainstay on the Cowboys' defensive line for over a decade, could be leaving the team in 2025. For many fans, the thought of parting ways with Lawrence is unthinkable. He's been one of the cornerstones of the Cowboys' defense, and his leadership and contributions have been invaluable. However, due to a combination of factors, namely his age, the cost of his contract, and the Cowboys' pressing need to free up cap space, Lawrence's time in Dallas could be coming to an end. This news has left the team and its fanbase in limbo, wondering who will step up if Lawrence does indeed leave. DeMarcus Lawrence has been a pillar of the Cowboys' defense since he was drafted in 2014. For over 10 seasons, he's consistently been one of the top pass rushers in the league, and his production speaks for itself. With 58 career sacks, 160 quarterback hits, and 136 tackles for loss, Lawrence has been the kind of player you can build a defensive line around. He's earned 4 Pro Bowl appearances, and his leadership and experience have been a guiding force for the Cowboys' defense. But now, at 32 years old, and coming off a season marred by a Lisfranc injury that limited him to just 4 games, the writing may be on the wall. Although Lawrence still managed to record 3 sacks and 10 pressures in his limited appearances, the Cowboys are facing a difficult decision. The team's salary cap situation is tight, and with other key players like Zach Martin and a few others earning massive salaries, the front office is looking to reduce expenses where it can. The reality is that DeMarcus Lawrence's contract, which has already paid him over $127 million in his career, is a significant burden on the team's salary cap. Lawrence is set to earn a substantial amount in 2025, and with the Cowboys needing to free up money for other positions, it's highly likely that the veteran defensive end could be a casualty of those financial decisions. While the Cowboys have been able to retain some of their top players in the past, the realities of the NFL salary cap are unforgiving, and tough choices have to be made. Dallas has already shown that they're not afraid to make tough calls when it comes to veterans, and with Lawrence's age and injury history, the team may feel it's time to move on. If Lawrence does leave, the Cowboys will need to rely on some of their younger players to fill the void left by one of their most productive defensive players. That responsibility will likely fall on 2 players, Sam Williams and Marshon Neand. Both of these players were drafted as second-round picks with high expectations, and they'll now have to step up and prove that they have the talent to take over for Lawrence. Williams, a 4th-year defensive end, was expected to have a breakout year in 2024, but unfortunately, an ACL injury in the summer derailed those plans. Williams was a player with incredible athleticism and raw potential, and many believed he could be the Cowboys' next great pass rusher. He was known for his speed and ability to disrupt the quarterback, and his combination of size and explosiveness made him an exciting prospect. But the ACL injury meant that he wasn't able to show his full potential in 2024, and now, Williams will have to come back in 2025 and prove that he can still live up to those lofty expectations. Williams had a lot of hype surrounding him when he was drafted, and there's still belief within the organization that he can be a key part of the Cowboys' defense moving forward. The Cowboys' defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, was reportedly high on Williams during the pre-draft process, and he was seen as a high-ceiling prospect with the potential to become a top-tier pass rusher. But with the ACL injury putting his development on pause, it's unclear what kind of player Williams will be in 2025. He'll need to show that he can bounce back from the injury and return to the form that made him such an exciting prospect. The Cowboys are hoping that Williams will be able to provide a much-needed boost to the defensive line, but that remains to be seen. In addition to Williams, Marshon Neand will also be expected to contribute in a major way if Lawrence leaves. Neand, a second-year player, had an up-and-down rookie season in 2024. Like Williams, Neand dealt with injuries, and he was forced into a larger role than expected. Neand was supposed to be eased into the rotation as a rookie, but due to a series of injuries along the defensive line, he was thrust into action much sooner than planned. Neand played in 11 games and logged 256 defensive snaps, but his rookie season wasn't exactly what the Cowboys had envisioned. He ranked 113th out of 119 qualifying defensive ends in Pro Football Focus's grades, which isn't exactly the kind of performance that inspires confidence. However, despite his struggles, Neand showed flashes of potential. He had some great moments where his athleticism and playmaking ability stood out, and those flashes are enough to make the Cowboys believe he has a future in this defense. Neand's rookie season was a trial by fire, and while the results weren't perfect, the Cowboys are hopeful that he can take a step forward in year 2. He was drafted with the expectation that he could eventually become a starting caliber player, and while his rookie season didn't exactly meet those expectations, there's still reason for optimism. Neand has the physical tools to be a disruptive force on the defensive line, and the Cowboys are betting that with a full offseason to develop and refine his skills, he can be a key contributor in 2025. The question now is whether Neand can turn those flashes into consistent production and prove that he's ready for a larger role. Both Williams and Neand have the potential to fill the void left by Lawrence, but neither player has shown that they're capable of being a consistent starter at this point in their careers. Williams has been hampered by injury, and Neand had an underwhelming rookie season. However, necessity may force both of them into starting roles sooner rather than later. If Lawrence does indeed leave, the Cowboys may not have the luxury of waiting for either player to fully develop. In the NFL, it's often a next man up mentality, and both Williams and Neand may be forced to rise to the occasion whether they're fully ready or not. It's a high-risk, high-reward approach, but it's one that the Cowboys have taken before. In past seasons, the Cowboys have been willing to throw young players into the fire, trusting that they'll develop through experience. It's not always the safest approach, but it's one that has yielded results in the past. The Cowboys have had success with developing young players, and the hope is that Williams and Neand will follow in the footsteps of other players who have taken a few lumps before eventually breaking through. It's going to be a make-or-break year for both players, and they'll need to prove that they have what it takes to replace Lawrence and continue to make the Cowboys' defense one of the best in the league. The reality of the situation is that losing Lawrence would be a major blow to the Cowboys' defense. He's been a key player for so long, and his ability to disrupt opposing quarterbacks has been one of the staples of Dallas' defensive identity. But the NFL is a business, and tough decisions have to be made. If Lawrence does leave, it will be up to Williams and Neand to carry the torch. They'll need to develop quickly and become the players the Cowboys envisioned when they were drafted. With Lawrence's departure, the Cowboys will have to make the most of their younger talent, and the pressure will be on Williams and Neand to step up and prove that they can replace a legend. In the end, 2025 could be a defining year for the Dallas Cowboys defense. If DeMarcus Lawrence moves on, it will signal the end of an era. But it will also provide an opportunity for younger players like Sam Williams and Marshon to prove themselves and step into bigger roles. The next man-up mentality will be tested to the fullest, and the Cowboys will be watching closely to see if their second-round picks can live up to their potential. It's a risky proposition, but one the Cowboys may have no choice but to take. The hope is that Williams and Neand will rise to the occasion and show they're the future of the Cowboys' defensive line. It's a make-or-break year for both of them, and the pressure will be on. Cowboys fans are hoping that the next chapter of the team's defense will be just as successful as the one led by Lawrence, but only time will tell if they can fill those big shoes.